Hey everyone, thanks for clicking onto the video. Before we start things, I just want to say that we are currently on the road to 500 subscribers. So, in celebration of that, I'm going to be doing a free giveaway of one copy of WWE Battlegrounds on a console of your choice, whether it be a PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch or Xbox One. And all you have to do to enter it is simply click that subscribe button, tap the bell icon, and once we hit that magic number of 500 subscribers, I'll be doing the video to announce the winner. So, thanks for listening and please enjoy the video. Hello, welcome to that 90s Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, James Sunstone. Today's special guest, been a big fan of this guy for many years. He is an OVW Triple Crown winner, and he is the current NWA Television Champion. He is the Pope, Elijah Burke. How you doing, Elijah?
What's up, Daddy? Glad to be aboard. Glad to be on that 90s Wrestling Podcast. It's about time we finally hooked up with one another, but there's no better time than right now, so let's get on with this thing, Daddy.
Thank you very much. How's your day been today? Has it been all good?
Everything's been good. You know, Pope busy as always, trying to make things happen, keep things popping off, and just trying to do what I do, man. And so everything's good. No complaints over here.
Awesome. So before we get to your career, something I really want to speak about, which is very important, your charity, livealive.org, sorry. So do you want to tell my listeners and viewers about your charity and like all the good work it's been doing?
Well, I appreciate that. Pope's charity, the Love Alive charity, based out of Florida, which is love-alive.org. That's our website. Basically, what we do, man, is we just give back to the community. We take care of the homeless, the impoverished communities, people that are living in shelters and on the street. My upcoming event is on January the 9th. We call it Love Drives, where basically we go out to the community. We serve the homeless, hundreds and hundreds at a time. We serve them, we feed them, we clothe them, we give them love, we give them hygienic needs, we give them the kids book bag filled with tools to achieve academic success, and most importantly, which I take a lot of pride in, is the fact that we feed hundreds of people straight out of Burger King. So if that moves you, as it did for you, James, which we appreciate you contributing to our charity, but if that moves anyone that is listening to this, hey man, head over to love-alive.org. Donate just $1 or more help. Anything helps, because I am a publicly funded charity. My charity is publicly funded and of course funded by yours truly, so I can use all the help that you guys are willing to give.
That's awesome, and it's such a great thing, especially during these trying times with COVID and everything, and
right,
people losing jobs or losing homes even in worst case scenarios. So the fact that using your star power basically, and being able to turn that into a good thing and giving back to the community is such a great thing. And I was more than happy to donate whatever I could towards it. And I appreciate that for that, and hopefully it's helped some people out.
Absolutely, man. It certainly will. I mean, I try to tell people again, of course, we say a dollar does make a difference because it just adds to it. But if you're willing to give more and you can, then we certainly appreciate it. We've fed over thousands of people. We've been doing this since 2012. So this will be my 9th annual event coming up. And we're going to top it off with a cool wrestling event. Where you at, James? Where are you? You sound like you're over in London somewhere.
Not quite. So from the UK, so you got a spot on there. I'm originally from Nottingham, which I presume you've probably done a couple of shows over here, just touring with WWE and TNA when you used the Maximum Impact tours. But yeah, from Nottingham, so a little bit off, but you got the UK accent right anyway.
Okay. 10-4. I could never get that mistaken, that's for sure.
Every time I speak to someone from stateside, every one of them's like, "Where's your accent from?" Because I haven't got a typical accent, because I've done a lot of traveling, so I pick up all different accents, like from all over the UK. So no one could ever work me out anyway.
Well, if you get angry, you sound like Drew McIntyre, then we got then there's another issue. But balls in your court, Daddy.
Cool. So like I said, great charity. I'll be sure to leave the link on the description at the end of the interview on the YouTube channel. So make sure everyone, if you can, please
Yep.
donate those. It's such a great cause. So with that out of the way now, Elijah. So basically, we'll try and start from the beginning. So your childhood, was you a fan of wrestling growing up, or was it something you discovered a little bit later in life?
Well, I think everybody knows about Pope's love of wrestling and his childhood. If they don't know, then I'll give them a brief history of that. Basically, NWA. It's amazing how things somewhat comes full circle, man. I'm sitting at home watching NWA Saturday mornings with my pops and my brothers, and that's just something. It was something that we did continuously. It's my father that probably more than anything else got me involved in wrestling. I became a huge fan of it, watching World Class Championship Wrestling on Saturday mornings as well. So, you had NWA that was coming on, and you had World Class that came on right behind it. And it was basically that was it for me. It was watching Dusty, it was watching the Horsemen, it was watching all of the pageantry that came along with the NWA and what they presented as wrestling.
Awesome. And before you actually got into wrestling, your boxing career, I mean, it was unreal. It was like 98-1. Like, I think that was the official stats. I know
Yeah.
WWE made it a little bit higher, but 98-1, so hell of a career. So obviously you can handle yourself, but in the end, what made you give it up to pursue wrestling?
Well, again, I got into the boxing, the amateur boxing, the tough man competitions. I got into that it was a need to fulfill uh something that I wanted to do, which was to entertain, and Pope at heart is the entertainer. And if I could have went out there to the ring, the boxing ring that is, every time and not have to knock somebody out, I would have been just as happy. Unfortunately, I had to be physical. It wasn't my love of boxing, whether that was again in the tough man competitions, whether that was in the amateur boxing, the guns and hoses, which or may not know, I was placed into the Hall of Fame, boxing
Right.
Hall of Fame for that. But again, my love was not the actual boxing. My love was the entertainment part of boxing, of going out there and being able to put on a show. So I never took pleasure in knocking people out. I never took pleasure in putting their livelihood in jeopardy, and certainly I didn't like being hit myself.
Yeah, cool. And eventually you made your way into wrestling and OVW. And I mean, I think it's true, but apparently the original plan was to put you in the Spirit Squad, and you just flat out said no. So can you tell us how that conversation happened?
Yeah, well, again, as you just mentioned, I made my way from boxing. I was in law enforcement, and
That's
one day I was putting some information for an inmate in jail, and we were crowded, and there was a hold up, and just giving a little backstory again, there was a hold up, and I ended up getting on the computer, so we had to wait before we processed another inmate and another person into the jail, and somehow, some way, I don't know how, I don't know why, but the banner for the first ever OVW tryout camp came across the screen. I don't know how, but it was just meant. I saw that banner. I clicked on it. I printed it out. I sent it up to Louisville, Kentucky. I got a call back that I was accepted, one of the 50 people that was accepted to the tryout camp. And I went and I did my training, eventually got accepted, and I did my training at OVW. It was the first bit of wrestling I had ever done. And while training in OVW, I made my way up the ranks, and lo and behold, after putting my time in and after growing and learning my craft, I was one of three people selected to be in the Spirit Squad. It was three of us, if not four. It was myself, it was Nick Nemeth, it
that's
was
right.
Ken Doan, and it was Mitch. And Mitch was one of the ones from that reality show they was doing, I believe, Tough Enough, I believe.
Yeah.
So it was us four that was going to be in the Spirit Squad. And and Vince was very adamant, that we were going to make a lot of money. He said, this is my idea. I'm going to make some money. I'm going to make a lot of money. And he stressed that, and they did. They made a lot of money immediately, but it was something that I couldn't commit to fully. And if I couldn't commit to it, then it was going to do more damage for me in the long term than it would as far as contribute to success in the short term. And I think we see how that played out for every member of the Spirit Squad, sans Dolph Ziggler, who was able to shake it. So I wasn't into it. I didn't think I could carry out what he wanted. So I told him I appreciate the opportunity, but I declined. And he respected that. And he said, we'll send you back down and we'll bring you back up when we get something for you. And so I took a lot of heat for that, for telling Vince no. From the boys, not from Vince, but from a lot of the boys, I took a lot of heat.
Well, and eventually you did get called up to SmackDown with Sylvester Terkay, who I think he was like a amateur MMA.
Sylvester Terkay! Sylvester Terkay, man. That was my guy.
Yeah, what's he doing these days? Are you still in contact with him?
I believe he's at a car dealership. Last I knew, when he got out of wrestling, he went back and did some more MMA fighting. That was the thing between myself and Sylvester Terkay pairing. We were both legitimate athletes. We both had backgrounds, in combat sports. Him MMA, myself boxing, and I think he went and did a little bit more of that before going back to his old job at the post office. And now I think he's working at the car dealership. I just did a sign-in and an appearance in Cleveland, Ohio, and I was told that he's in Pittsburgh. I think that's his home state, and he's working at a car dealership. At least that's what I was told. Yeah, good guy though.
Yeah, and he got like a pretty early push, defeating the likes of Matt Hardy and that, and they moved his over to ECW eventually. Like, they moved him back down, and he eventually got released, but you went on to bigger things. So then you started leading the New Breed stable, which some people, they liked the new ECW, some people didn't. Me personally, I didn't mind it. I was quite a fan of, and it wasn't just relying on the old stars. They're trying to build new stars, and one of the groups they're trying to build was the New Breed, which was yourself, Monty Brown, obviously Marcus Colvin, and Kevin Thorne, and Ariel, and Matt Striker. So what was it like being the leader of your own group, basically?
It was surreal, for lack of better terms. It was, I guess it was what it was. I didn't really, I guess if it was pushed to be more, it was natural for me, obviously. It was a natural fit, but I never looked at it for what it was, but I always thought of what it could have been, and what the New Breed could have been. We didn't become. We didn't have the full backing like one would have thought. We weren't pushed as being a top faction while we were the group on ECW called the New Breed. I never really considered us a faction.
Yeah, and eventually you did have your big match at WrestleMania against the ECW originals, and obviously in front of such a large audience, that's something on the bucket list. But one of your main feuds, I suppose, your nemesis during this time was CM Punk, and obviously he joined the New Breed, then obviously he left, and you feud. You had a really good match on Judgment Day, which was really long, but after this, he had some less than complimentary things to say about you. I think he was asked the question, who's your least favourite opponent, and he named you, which I was surprised, and he said, you was, I don't know if he said you was hard to work with or you was a diva. Obviously, CM Punk, he's love him or hate him, he can be a bit...
Look who that applies to today. Look who, when the curtain is pulled back, I guess we all found out who the prima donna was.
Yeah, 100%.
I guess we all found out who was difficult to work with, right? Yeah. So, it's one of those things. Obviously, you go back and you look at our stuff. We had probably one hiccup, and that's when I got, well, at least I did, one hiccup, and that's when I got concussed in that three-way with him and Shelton Benjamin.
That's right.
I got concussed at the beginning of the match, and I knew nothing, and I wasn't being directed. I was just out of it. But me and CM Punk 1-on-1, we never had a bad match ever.
No, like I said, that match at Judgment Day, and you were given plenty of time that match, and it was such a good match. So that's why I was surprised when he said these things, because I mean he's worked the likes of, no disrespect, but he's worked like Ryback, and Ryback's
Right.
not the wrestler. So for him to say that, I'm like, really, Punk? Are you being serious? But
Yeah.
there you go.
That's again, that's Punk. I don't even want to call him Phil, but that's Punk being Punk. I mean, when you have made it to where he did, which kudos to him. You have the upper hand. You have the ability to say what you want to say because you have a bigger platform. So there's never been a need for me to address that. I just let the work that I've done and the work that we both did together. I mean, I let it speak for itself, and we just didn't have bad matches. That's why they put us together so many times. I wrestled CM Punk more times in ECW than I did anybody else.
Yeah, that's true. He was on plenty of pay-per-views, and one match I did want to bring up, you were his very last opponent, Chris Benoit, before obviously the tragedy. What was it like working Benoit's last match? And also, I don't know, it's a hard question to say, but did you get a sense of something
No,
wasn't there for him? Or no?
no. It was great. It was great. I wrestled him that weekend before ECW. I saw him. I saw the family. Everything seemed normal. And there, there was only one thing Chris said to me that, but we all said. I said to this very day, and that was talk to me. Talk to me. I have a tendency to forget stuff, but that was never necessarily a need to do because, and by talk to me, I think he just mean communicate while in there with him because Chris didn't plan a lot of stuff. There was nothing. We went out there on that TV match that you saw. All I knew, the only thing that was said was, "I'll beat you with the crossface or the sharpshooter," and that was it. That was it. When he went up for the headbutt, he called that, and of course I know he's going to do it at some point. And then he went to the opposite side, which made me elevate my legs above my knees, above my face, and it literally exploded my back. Just about.
Yeah.
So, but no, everything was good, there, and it was an honor working him, and that's just a fact.
Yeah. And I mean, I've asked a few people like Trevor Murdoch and stuff who I've had on the show, and same thing. They said you would never have thought it of what he done, but unfortunately it happened, and it was just such a tragedy. So rest in peace to his family.
Yeah,
It was
absolutely.
But one of the people I did want to mention before we move to the next segment, I don't know if you had much interaction with him because he was on different shows sometimes, but John Cena, do you have much to do with him, and what was he like behind the scenes? I've heard he's a great...
Cena was probably the last of the generals in WWE. I don't know if Roman Reigns has tried to assume that role because I'm not there, but Cena was the last of... certainly during my time, you always had the Triple H, Shawn Michaels, you had those guys, and obviously the Undertaker. But with those guys gone now, and obviously Cena, his time, he's kind of stepped aside. So, but Cena was a fun guy. He was a stern guy as well. If something was rubbed him wrong or whatnot, he tried to be that general. He had to respect as the top guy, but he didn't have that Undertaker type respect. Even Cena had to bow down to Taker. Taker was the man.
Yeah, and I presume you watched Survivor Series yourself last night, watching Undertaker's send-off. So that's if you had a chance to watch it. But what do you think of the big guy finally hanging up his boots?
I think that if Vince don't call him back, that's a a fitting tribute and an end to the career. I would have loved to have seen him take off his jacket at the end, but I know they already did that at Mania. But to signify it actually being the end, they should have took off his jacket and took off his hat and gloves and put it in the ring and let lightning strike and let it burn.
Awesome.
It was, yeah.
And eventually you got released from WWE, which was a shame because I think they never used you to your full potential. Because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but not long before you got released, you actually started coming up with the Pope character. But fortunately for TNA Impact Wrestling, you went over that way, and you was an instant hit pretty much, and they pretty much put you straight in the top of the card. I remember the 8-card stud tournament, and I think I've got this right. I think you defeated Mr. Anderson in the finals, and and then you started working with AJ. So what was it like to be shown the faith to be put at the top of the card for that time in TNA?
Well, I mean, it was quite simple. You got a guy that shows up and like you said, an instant hit, but more importantly, knew how to connect with the crowd and get over it. And then that's something that you want to go with, and they did. That was not the intention, but that's what happened. And Vince Russo and Terry Taylor and those guys on top, they, that was running and said, hey, man, we got to go with this, Unfortunately, things didn't pan out like it was supposed to, assuming you're going to get to lockdown, myself and AJ Styles. And that was the day I was supposed to win the TNA World Heavyweight title, and rug got pulled out from me about an hour or two before the show. So that never happened.
Who made the call? Was it? Because I know I was.
Apparently, it was a round table. There were so many chefs in the kitchen. And, with everybody at the round table saying now wasn't the time, or this, some saying, no, we got to go with it. And that was because we were in the midst of that ill-fated Monday night slaughter. Monday night slaughter. So, and I guess they felt like putting it on, the young guy, the new guy, Pope, maybe that wouldn't be the best thing to happen with WWE, sorry about that, with WWE and being on Mondays and TNA trying to work on Mondays, and I don't know who was behind it, but Dixie Carter came out and said that was the decision that was made.
Yeah, it was a surprise when you agreed to come on. I'm part of a few wrestling groups, and I'm part of say a TNA Impact Wrestling group. And I told them you were coming on, and I was like, we all agreed, you, in 2010, you was on fire, basically, and I thought they was going to put the belt on you, away from AJ, and it wasn't to be, but speaking of AJ...
and the next night, they put it on Rob Van Dam, which was just ridiculous, you know? And AJ Styles came back to me, and he said, if I known they were going to do that, I'm sure a lot of people had some input about the title switch, but AJ goes, if they were going to do that, I should have just lost it to you last night, but that doesn't, make any difference at this point.
Yep. And is AJ as stand up as a guy as what we all believe he is?
I've never known him not to be somewhat of a stand-up guy. I'm not personally, I've never been too personal with AJ Styles, but we've, again, the TNA, I had a long run with him. We wrestled together on plenty of loops and whatnot. So, he had his own, AJ was more so into his own little group with Chris Daniels and Frankie Kazarian, those guys, because they did so much together, and they were the originals there of TNA. So I don't know him like that, but I knew him enough to, we had our one-on-ones and very respectful towards one another. So, yeah.
Cool. And last question regarding
and
TNA.
I always beat him in Madden.
Yeah.
In NFL Madden, so.
Yeah, cool. And last segment for TNA, you was there at the beginning and at the end of the Hulk Hogan Eric Bischoff regime. So, did you have much interaction with Hulk Hogan during this time?
I had plenty of interaction with Hulk Hogan. Certainly off screen, and Hogan was just Hogan, man. He was cool. He wasn't the Hogan that you guys know, obviously, but we had plenty. He shared a bunch of personal stuff with me. I've seen a lot of personal messages, a lot of personal pictures, so, and I always I always love to hear the stories. So yeah, Hogan was cool, which is why, even though he was hella wrong for when
Yeah.
he was in the worst probably position in his life, and that whole thing came up, I knew what he had become, and that was before. So that was before his time in TNA, and I knew he was in a down place. And I love to judge folk. Look, I like to look at it like this: we all got skeletons in our closet. If our closets were exposed, we'd all be horrible people.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Cool. And well, I suppose this is kind of a link question. So eventually you moved towards the commentary table for both TNA Impact and NWA Power. And what's it like working commentary? I mean, you're a natural at it to begin with. I really enjoyed your partnership with Josh Matthews. I thought you had a good chemistry. So how do you feel like when you moved into commentary for that time being?
Well, I loved doing commentary. We were negotiating a return back to Impact Wrestling, and all of a sudden Taz left, and they thought it wasn't natural. It was tossed to me, hey, what do you think about being color? Like, hell, I'll take it. I'd rather do that than to go out there in that 6-sided ring, So no problem. Let's do it. And plus, it's just smart to have a lot of things under your belt when it comes to this profession that we're in. I don't just want to, I don't want to just be a wrestler. I want to be a commentator, not just a commentator, but a producer, not just and so forth. And that's just having and learning all the trades that go and come along with professional wrestling. So it was great. I enjoyed my time with Josh. It was stressful at times. It took some getting used to it because I wasn't used to being out there on sitting 3 hours at a doggone commentator's desk and not being able to go get some coffee or go use the restroom. It was like, how the hell does JR and Bobby Heenan and all these older cats sit out here for 3 hours and not go to the restroom? Like, what the hell? So, but it was real cool, and it was very it was a learning experience too.
Cool. And we're bringing it back to the beginning, I suppose. So you said growing up NWA fan, and eventually you made your way to NWA and started doing, like we said, some commentary work. But at prime time, you defeated one of my former guests, Sicky Dice, to become the NWA Television Champion. So, like we said before, like you grew up watching all these guys in the NWA and like all these championships. So now you are the television champion. So how does it feel? Like, how honored and proud are you of yourself to be the NWA champion?
It's an amazing experience. It's okay. I got you. It's an amazing experience. Obviously, because of the lineage, the heritage, the history of that title. It's funny. I was just I did catch the Undertaker's Survivor Series moment, but before that, I was watching Clash of the Champions on the network, and Clash of the Champions 9 to be exact. And when it opens up, you got the world title that flashes, and then the next thing that comes on the screen is the World Television Championship. And it's like, wow, and that title was held literally like next to, obviously under the Flair title, but it was right there because that title was defended all the time. It was the workhorse title. And Zicky, as I call him, Ziggy, never had any business with this title to begin with. But to have that title, certainly with my mentor, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, him being somebody that wore this title a couple of times, and then the great Arn Anderson, and the list goes on and on. Steve Austin being the last to actually have this particular title that I have. He retired that title, did Steve Austin before. So it's great because it makes this moment, even though I never won the TNA World Championship when I was supposed to, I didn't win the ECW title when I was supposed to. Winning this title at this point in time and with its significance, it means that much more. it was business as usual for me. But when the fans, when I got back to the hotel room and I opened up my phone and it literally almost overloaded. Literally, I mean, it was slowing down. It had so many messages. I couldn't go on social media. Twitter contacted me and was asking if I wanted their help in filtering out messages and controlling it, because it was just so many, and the outpouring of love and support that I've received in winning this title made it that much more special. And I don't know if I would have got it like this if I would have won the TNA title, but
Yeah.
I don't care about the what ifs. I care about the what now. And right now, it was everything thanks to the fans.
Awesome. Now, very last question, Elijah, and thanks so much for giving me your time.
No problem.
How long do we have to wait for Power to return? Because we can't wait.
You and me both. We've been talking about it, and obviously, our boss Billy Corgan has no intentions of not returning. It's not a matter if, it's a matter of when. And I think sometime next year, in the beginning part of next year, we might pick up where we left off. Our last show was in January of this year, 2020. Right. And we were looking for our April Crockett Cup. So who knows? Maybe by April we'll resume. We'll see what happens. But Billy certainly have plans. It's just that, and I think he'll eventually, if we can have fans, which it's all about the laws and the governing of where we record, which is Georgia, and you got studios, and those studios, they determine if they want people in or not. And obviously the fans are what really make Power special. They really make it special, unlike any other. And I don't say that to be cliche, but they really did make that a special viewing experience.
True, and we can't wait. So thanks very much, Elijah. Before we sign off, do you want to tell everyone where they can find you on social media, and obviously, again, tell everyone about your charity?
I appreciate it, James. Guys, again, my charity is something that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm going to start with that first. So you guys just head over to love-alive.org. Check it out. Read about us. Find out about the charity, what we stand for, our commitment to the impoverished communities, disadvantaged people and children. Check it out. And if you got $1 to donate, please do so. We'll appreciate it. I'll make sure that we acknowledge you guys on all my social media accounts, which you can follow me on Instagram at the Black Pope. That's DA Black Pope. Why? Because I'm the first of my kind. I'm the only Black Pope. So also on Twitter, the Black Pope. And you can follow me on Facebook at Elijah Burke. That's facebook.com/Elijah Burke. You can follow my charity as well, the Love Alive Charity on Instagram, Love Alive Inc. on Twitter, and the Love Alive Charity on Facebook as well. So thank you guys so much. And hey, if you want to see some cool videos, go check out Pope TV. And you'll see a lot of cool videos that I share. I just shared something yesterday and it got like 77,000 views within 24 hours. So you guys go check out some of those cool videos I have on Pope TV on YouTube.
Well, hopefully, Pope, you'll be bringing them sort of numbers to my channel.
Right, hopefully so, man, right? But hey, stick around. Pope's going to do this little plug for That 90s Wrestling. So I'm going to sign off now, but me and James, we're going to stick around for about a minute or two, and it was good chatting it up to all the viewers and the listeners of That 90s Wrestling podcast. Y'all support my guy, James, and be sure to check back because your Pope may just return.
Cool. Thanks very much, Pope. Absolute pleasure.